Commissioners, the second item is for 869 President Street, located within the Park Slope Historic District. It's docket number 164980, block 1065, lot 24, community in the borough of Brooklyn. It's an application for a certificate of appropriateness, a Romanesque revival-style townhouse designed by Henry Ogden Avery and built in 1885. The application is to alter the areaway, construct a rear addition, alter the rear facade, and excavate the rear yard.
Good morning, Commissioners. Carly Wong with Preservation Staff. 869 President Street is an individual townhouse located between 7th and 8th Avenues in the Park Slope Historic District. This is an application to alter the areaway and rear elevation, which is entirely visible from Union Street, which you can see from this block plan. Jumping ahead to page 8 in your handout, the modifications to the areaway include excavation to accommodate a stair to access a proposed door underneath the stoop to the basement level. And at the rear elevation, the existing conditions include a stepped configuration. The proposal consists of reconstructing this existing two-story extension with a shallower footprint, restoration and resetting of some leaded glass casement and double-hung windows, and the select removal of some of those windows and salvage reuse of the interior, and the construction of a brick elevator shaft within its existing recess on the eastern side of the rear elevation. There's also some excavation to allow the basement level to access the rear yard. This building has been in front of the Commission multiple times, and all the work proposed here today has previously been Commission approved except for the elevator shaft. And those commission approvals have since expired, and the project architect is here to further discuss.
Thank you, Carly.
Good morning. My name is David Hottenroth. I'm the architect for the project. As Carly mentioned, at the front of the building, we're proposing to excavate an areaway to make an access under the stoop. We have photographs from a 1920s renovation that indicates that this previously existed, which I can show you later in the presentation. Also, Carly mentioned we're proposing to remove an existing extension that extends about 20 feet and replace it with an extension that extends 9 feet 3 inches. And then this is the location for the new elevator shaft. This is the rear line of the adjacent townhouse, so we're matching that and infilling just that area that happens to be the exact size that we need for an elevator shaftway. We're proposing to put it here so we don't have to modify the main rooms of the interior space. We don't have to change the staircase. It seems to be the location that has the least impact. The previous submittal that Carly mentioned was done by a previous architect that had a much more major renovation in this area to accommodate a new stair and the elevator shaftway. We're also proposing at the parlor floor level, the ground floor level, ironwork and glass terrace. This is back to the cellar plan. This is the area of excavation just under that terrace to allow access to the basement recreation billiard room at the rear of that. Upper floor plan. Again, that's the extent of the addition and the elevator shaft. Additional work that we're doing on the front facade, the steel casement and steel casement leaded glass windows at the ground floor will be repaired, restored. Wood windows will be replacing the existing wood windows, and the only wood element are these triangular bays that project. Those will be restored, painted and restored. The brickwork is in very good condition. You don't have to do any work on the facade of the brick. This is an elevation of that new areaway, and we believe that this rusticated brownstone exists, which I'll show you in the photos. We are going to modify the existing fence to add a gate for access to that big cellar areaway. This is the existing rear elevation where we're proposing to insert the elevator. Here's our proposed new rear elevation, the ironwork and glass terrace, a new extension that has a terrace on the top floor. And this is the wall of the elevator shaft way. A photo of the existing rear facade, a photo, the existing front facade on President Street, the existing rear facade on Union Street, which is visible because there are no buildings at the rear of this property. Existing building section that indicates, proposed building section that indicates the location of the elevator shaft. We've done this is very hard to see because of the tree in the way, but we've done a rendering infilling the existing recess where we would be proposing to install the elevator shaft. And on this photo, you can see right there what looks like possible stairway access down to the cellar. This is a plan that we found on file at the building department from the 1920s that shows that areaway. Here's the existing front facade. This is the piece under the stoop where our access would be, and evidence that, which is why we think this rusticated brownstone might still exist underneath this slab. We'll be removing all of this concrete to make a planted front yard. The bays will be painted. These windows will be replaced with wood replacement windows. These steel casements and leading will be repaired. This is the existing rear facade. This is a later extension that's different brick than the main facade. We'd be removing this, rebuilding it to a shallower footprint. That's the area of where the elevator shaft way would be installed. This rear leaded window will be repaired.
Thank you. Questions? Are there any questions? Okay. Any speakers on this item? All right, there are no speakers, and we also haven't received any testimony from the community board.
We did see the community board.
Okay, they haven't submitted. You went to the community
Yes,
board?
yes.
All right. They haven't sent in their resolution. Did they support the project? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
They were concerned about all the previous application, but I think in the end they did support the project. Yes, thank you.
Okay, any more questions for the applicant? We can close the hearing then. All right. Comments? Yes, John?
Just a question. I might understand that most of this was previously approved and the permits expired. So there is a commission that already said everything's okay except for the elevator shaft.
That is my understanding. Jared? Yes.
That's correct. There's been a series of approvals over the years. It's come to the commission, and they have since expired, and so it's sort of an amalgam of those approvals.
Right, so the only new thing here is really that elevator shaft.
Carly, do you want
It's
to?
also quite scaled back. The original approval also included an extension of that two-story addition all the way across the rear and then wrapped into that recess. So it's also scaled back. And some visible rooftop bulkheads.
So we're better off than we were.
Yes.
Yes, I think so. It's a more modest proposal than it was. And just sort of understand that when the commission approves, and I think most of the commissioners know this, that when we issue a certificate of appropriateness, then it has that time associated with it. So I think it's 6 years typically, and after that, if it expires, then do they come back for renewals? But it depends on how much time has
That's right.
lasted. Is that
Written
correct?
into the rules, there is the opportunity to renew, but there are certain stipulations, and otherwise it needs to come back to the commission. Yeah.
All right, any other comments or concerns? Yes, Michael?
Hopefully you'll get the credit, because this is a very well-done project. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
And an unusual house, I think, as well.
Yes.
So, one of the coolest houses in Park Slope, and that's saying something. It's an amazing design. So it's very well done.
All right, if there are no other issues, we can read the resolution. John, would you like to read that, please?
In the matter of docket number 164980, 869 President Street in the Park Slope Historic District, the application is to alter the areaway, construct a rear addition, alter the rear facade, and excavate the rear yard. I recommend approval, finding that the building was designed as an individual townhouse, and therefore the proposed alterations will not detract from the continuity of an intact row of houses, that the existing rear yard extension is not an original feature of the building, and reconstructing the volume with a shallower footprint will have no impact on the scale and character of this individual townhouse, that the majority of the leaded glass windows will be restored and retained or reset into new sash, including the most significant assemblage of paired leaded glass windows and transoms at the first floor, that the leaded glass windows that will not be reinstalled will be salvaged for possible reuse in the building interior, that the elevator shaft will be constructed within an existing recessed area and will be set back from the plane of the main portion of the rear elevation, thereby retaining this building's unique stepped footprint, that the excavation of a portion of the rear yard will not result in loss or damage to any significant building features, and that the extent of excavation will not diminish the relationship between this and the adjacent rear yards. That although the rear yard alterations will be visible through a parking lot from Union Street, they will be seen in context with adjacent undeveloped facades and will not detract from the special architectural and historic character of the building or district. That a stair and basement level access under the stoop were present at the western areaway historically, and that the proposed alterations at the western areaway will not disrupt the symmetry and composition of the primary facade.
Second? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? This application's been approved.
Thank you.